Hey everybody, CJ here, Tech Addict, and today I was cleaning up and decided to do a quick impromptu video because I've discovered something. So, what we have here is one of those standard, everyday, squirt bottle heads for cleaning chemicals. And I had a bottle that had some chemical in it that had evaporated all the water out of it. So I decided I wanted to rinse the chemical out, what remains, and if I can get it clean enough, go ahead and reuse it for something else. And it wasn't a very caustic chemical. It was like just purple power or something, just a regular surfactant. So I would reuse it with something like a window cleaner or maybe some peroxide and water or vinegar and water or any number of things. So I decided, while I'm rinsing it out, I got everything rinsed out pretty good, and then I went to operate it so I could rinse out the mechanisms up in here, and it leaked out all over my hand. Well, of course, that's a bad thing for these. Not so bad if you're just using it for spraying water, or maybe even window cleaner, but anything more caustic than that, and you're going to wind up with a lot of skin irritation. So you really don't want to do that. But I got to thinking, why does it leak? Well, as you can see, it's not exactly transparent. There is some translucency to it. But I really wanted to see how it really works on the inside. And sure, I could go YouTube that, but why YouTube it when I can see it directly for myself? We have here basically X-ray vision. And this is essentially how X-rays work. You have your body, or whatever you're looking at with the X-ray, is basically translucent to the rays that are going through it. And things like your bone, in the case of this spring in the middle, and certain organs are less translucent than others, so you wind up being able to see, kind of, through your body. So this is basically the same thing that an X-ray does. It's just not as harmful to my eyes. So what you see here, right in the middle, is a spring. Now that spring goes inside the handle. The handle operates a plunger. See if I can do this without leaking all over everything. That handle operates a plunger, and that plunger, when it's operated like this, increases pressure in that chamber, and that pressure goes out through this smaller nozzle, so it becomes higher pressure toward, or not nozzle, tube, toward the nozzle. Okay? So you've got a little bit of pressure in here, you increase that pressure, and then in the tube the pressure is higher and it goes out the nozzle as a higher pressure stream capable of being sprayed in whatever pattern you have. Now I've got a couple of questions about this. First off, why is a spring going through the plunger? That kind of confuses me a little bit because that plunger should be sealed. So I'm not entirely sure if maybe the plunger has a hollow centerpiece that goes into the handle, or maybe the plunger is broken and that spring popped all the way through. I don't know. But you may be wondering, well, what causes the pressure not to go down the feeder tube, and that feeder tube basically backflow back into the bottle? Well, where that large chamber is with the spring in it, on the lower side, you can't see it from here, but that dark spot that's completely opaque has a check valve in it. And I'm going to blow in the feeder tube that I have completely rinsed out. This is safe, but I'll blow in that feeder tube and hopefully we can see the operation of that check valve. Maybe not. You can barely see it right up in here. Maybe not. I saw it earlier, and that's one of the things that got me to doing the video. Maybe from this angle. Well, regardless, there's a check valve in there, and what is causing this to leak is either a bad seal around this diaphragm or a crack in the plastic. And honestly, it could be either one of those, because that cleanser that I had in here, maybe it doesn't react very well with the plastic this is made of. Or maybe the plastic deteriorates in time. Any number of things. These things are only $1. Sometimes you can get them for half that. But that's basically it. So let me see if I can't draw a picture of what I've seen. Okay, so essentially you have your feeder tube that comes up from here into your drink. And yeah, don't drink this stuff, it's bad. I shouldn't have made that joke. So we have a check valve here. I'm imagining it being a ball valve. So when pressure is applied in here with this plunger coming in and shrinking the capacity of the chamber, the volume of the chamber, it would apply more pressure here, which would force the ball down into the seat, which would close off this valve. So it would close off any escape of pressure. The pressure would build up in here and be forced out this tube and the nozzle. Now this may just be a simple cheapy flapper valve, in which case it kind of does like that when the thing is closed, and when it's opened and more pressure is released, or I should say vacuum is created, it would open up kind of like that and allow more liquid from the reservoir, the bottle, to be brought up into the tube and into the chamber. And of course, repeat action, you know. So this is kind of like a two-stroke engine in a way. You have a combination of an intake valve, and there may even be an exhaust valve on a really high-end version of this. You apply pressure, the exhaust valve opens and pushes that pressure out. You release pressure, the exhaust valve closes, the intake valve opens, and pressure comes up. So it's basically just a two-cycle engine, if you're familiar with automotive and lawnmower mechanics. So I did not see if there was a valve up in that top part. I don't think that there is. I think the valve really is more that nozzle being so tiny there. So there's a lot less ability for fluid to come back in or gas to come back in than there is through this huge tube by comparison. So I think they probably cheaped out and don't need a valve there. But that's basically it. That's basically all you have is a cylinder and a valve with an intake and exhaust. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned, and maybe I'll have some more boring stuff later. Or maybe it's not boring. It's not boring to me. I think this stuff's great. Take care.